Hello and welcome back to the live stream. Good to have you with me. If we haven't met before, if we haven't met before, my name is James Follent and I make videos for wine lovers to learn more about the world of wine. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to be able to get news, alerts, and information about the world of wine as I create videos. And by subscribing, you'll get alerted to my wine videos by hitting that bell notification once you subscribe. Tonight on the stream, we're looking at wine pairings for Vegemite, Lamingtons, and Tams. Today's the 26th of January, Australia Day, so I thought I'd go and pick some foods that I remember growing up with that are iconically Australian, with the Vegemite, the Lamingtons. So this is actually a Lamington Long John. I've never had one with cream in the middle. It's like a donut thing. So this one will be an interesting one. A bit new, a bit foreign to me. So that might throw out the wine pairing that I had planned a little bit. But we'll see. And then we'll be finishing. Ooh, I got cream on my hand. When we're finishing with Tim Tams, the wine pairing. So feel free to ask any questions about wine along the way. We'll also be stopping, going on tangents for a live Q&A throughout the process on the stream tonight. So I'm glad that I can see Meme Man there, excited. Good to be back on the streams. I'm trying to stream every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Trying to commit to that. If I can smash out 52 streams this year, that'd be awesome. Probably more 48 would be more realistic because I've got to take my annual leave somewhere and go on holidays. But it'll be exciting being back on the streams this year. So, and thank you, Ian. Excited for you to be with us as well. And yes, Meme Man, that is a fancy looking Lamington for that. So, without further ado, the first thing I'm going to be looking at is it is one creamy breadstick, that Lamington. I'm not sure how it'll go with the wine pairing, but we'll see. We'll find out, and I'll describe that together. But let's start with the Vegemite Toast. I'm a big fan of Vegemite Toast. Vegemite Toast is one of my go-tos. Delicious. And because Vegemite is so strong, intense, and harsh, that kind of yeasty flavor to it, because I'm pretty sure Vegemite is just yeast extract that goes with it. I want to find a wine that is crisp, refreshing, acidic, that is going to contrast the flavors that you get from butter and Vegemite toast and is really going to cleanse the palate between each bite. So the two wines that I thought about to pair with Vegemite toast are Semillon, a young Semillon, and Riesling. For tonight, I have a Semillon, so I'm going to be looking at the McWiggins Semillon from 2019, the Bin 9000. I'm going to put that into the glass. And because I'll be trying, I've got at least 4 wines with me. I'm also drinking responsibly. I've got my spittoon next to me as I go through these wines to be able to enjoy the wine responsibly. And I'm also excited for a new year and a new year of streams. So thank you, Funny Flatfoot, for that. And yes, Vegemite is great as part of that, Ian. So looking at that, I've got the wine in the glass. So I tend to go, when I do a wine tasting and a wine pairing, I tend to go for the wine first, see how the wine is before I taste the food to see the before and after. I've already taken a bite of the Vegemite. I know how intense that Vegemite is. And I'm hoping the noise cancelling helps with me putting the wine in my mouth and aerating it. Magic of the video broadcast. So yeah, now taking a bite of that. Can't help myself. I love a good bit of Vegemite. I'm going to be cheeking you that for a second bite. Making sure I get the flavors in there. And that goes well when I look at the Vegemite and I look at this Semillon, just giving you, reading off the back of the wine to give you an idea of what it's like. Pure, clean, and elegant when young. The Bin 9000 ages gracefully to become a rich, succulent wine, the honey and toast emerging to delight the palate with the rewards of patience. So this is a young Semillon, not an old Semillon. So I haven't put this one in the cellar to age and develop. So it retains a young Semillon. A young Semillon retains that crispness, that refreshing, that acidity. So when I taste the Vegemite on the butter, and then I taste the Semillon, the acidity and the crispness like resets my palate. It's like turning my mouth on and off again. It's ready for the next bite to go back for the next bite of Vegemite. And it's a simple but elegant pairing. I'd be almost to be melon, citrus, honeysuckle on the nose in this glass is what I'm thinking so far. And when I taste it, a good amount of acidity. I can probably feel, because of how strong the Vegemite is, I probably feel the texture of the wine. The Vegemite is quite strong. There's predominantly kind of citrus in there, with the acidity going on in the glass as well. And that acidity cleanses the palate and it, yeah, scrubs it clean, gets you ready for the next bite of Vegemite, which is lovely. And another potential contender for Vegemite and wine, as we look at the what wines to pair with Vegemite, another contender is potentially rosé. So currently I have an open bottle of McGuigan Zero Rosé opened from the picnic the other day. I'm thinking this will probably go better with the Lamington, but I'm going to try a little bit of that with the Vegemite Toast to see what that's like. And it's a non-alcoholic one, so I don't need to spit that one. The kind of strawberry is a predominant thing going on there, but it's got some acidic to it. So that's a great question to go on a detour of, Ian. Speaking of acidity, can there be too acidic? Or speaking of acidity, can there be too acidic or too low acidic? When people think about wines, they often want to think about balancing the acid, the tannin, and the fruit profile of how fruity it is. Having a wine in balance is something that makes a good wine. that has the potential to age. So having balance in a wine is crucial. So you potentially have a wine that is either out of balance with being too much acid or too little acid is one of the risks. And holding a wine in your mouth and then waiting to see how much kind of saliva it generates and how quickly is an indication of how to kind of feel the acidity and get a sense of what it looks like. And that means just kind of putting the wine in and just holding it there. As part of that, and then you feel your mouth produce the saliva to be able to contrast that. So you might see a wine that is too acidic, is too harsh, too scratchy, and an unpleasant experience. And balance analogy, imagine just getting a slice of lemon, taking a bite out of that, that's too much. But if you have a freshly caught and freshly grilled piece of fish and you sprinkle some lemon over it, the acid, the sourness, the citrus gives it a balance to the grilled fish as a way of thinking about that. Probably not sure how to identify a wine that's too low in acid. But on to the next question from Funny Flatfoot. Would you recommend having a bite of Vegemite toast before drinking or drinking before having the toast? So, usually I like to check what the food tastes like, or it's almost like, what does the wine taste like normally? Check that. Then go back for the bite of toast. Pick up the toast. And then see how the toast goes, because then you've got the lingering flavor of whatever food you've tasted in your mouth. You've got that lingering taste of Vegemite there, which means when I go to taste this rosé, the freshness, the acidity helps cleanse the palate, and then the hint of strawberry that comes through as well is something that goes along with it. So that's a delightful experience. And the bread, if you're wondering, is a wholemeal multi-grain bread that we've got going here this evening, going for a healthy, hopefully low GI alternative, keeping the body fighting fit as I get ready to run a marathon. So that's a quick summary of the Vegemite toast. That third wine that I was thinking about that I didn't get to open was a Riesling, and particularly if you can find a sweeter style of Riesling, having the acidity, the freshness with a bit of sweetness. The sweetness is also a good way of contrasting almost the yeasty bitterness of the Vegemite, and bringing those two contrasting flavors together also plays nicely. And a fourth, just to throw in a bonus, is a Gruner Veltliner, an Austrian variety, very hard to find in Australia, which is why I didn't get into it. And looking at that, an Austrian variety paired with an Australian classic is a beautiful thing. Bring Gruner Veltliner and Vegemite. That's one I like to do at home, but it's not one that's easy to find on the bottle shop shelves, which I didn't pull one out this evening. I'm actually out of them because I've been enjoying them recently. So, getting into that next question. Funny Flatfoot, would you ever consider making a wine scented candle? So one of the wines we'll be looking at this evening is a Shiraz, and I would love to make a wine scented candle. I'm not sure how to make fragrance yet. So the challenge that I'm thinking about, how do I figure out how to bring the fragrances together to put them into something that's concentrated to mix them through a scented candle to be able to replicate scents from wines that I enjoy. It's ticking over in the background. The closest I think I've got is the wild mulberry candles that I have actually live on my website at follent.net. I think they smell something like a Shiraz or a Merlot that's got a lot of fruit and berry to them because it's a mulberry candle. But if you were to smell a glass of Merlot or Shiraz that has quite prominent fruit characteristics, you might get similar scents of red berries and black fruits on the nose that would match those scented candles. And so what flavors of you got at the moment for your scented candles? So that is a great question. And the best days are the ones where you learn by doing. So let's jump into the screen share. Where's that button? Jumping into the screen share, you can shop the JF collection at follent.net. Currently, I've got citronella soy wax candle, great for a summer barbecue to keep the flies and the mosquitoes away, followed by vanilla caramel soy wax candle. That's one that I think will probably be more popular in winter. Imagine being rugged up by a warm fireplace with the vanilla caramel burning in the background, or having dessert with the vanilla caramel burning alongside that, complementing those two things, as well as that. And then that wild mulberry is the one that I think would be most like a Shiraz or a red wine because of the mulberry, sweet plum, vanilla, and strawberry are things you can find in wines. They're things that you might see as part of that, which is really something that's interesting, and they're kind of the middle notes because the vanilla from a Shiraz comes from oak, which gets interesting. So kind of looking back at that homepage, and then I've only got one left of that Deep in the Woods, which was one to try with the label on, which smells kind of like a forest, which is why I called it the Woodlands Realm. And what I'm excited about is the Zesty Pirate. The coconut and lime is one of the ones I have the most of going there as well. So they're live on the website if anyone was interested in buying them. And yes, Ian, you are correct. If I go back to my camera only, I think you missed me, man, question, and that is correct. I went past that as I danced through answering the different questions. So I'll bring that one up now. I don't know much about wines myself, but can a wine be aged too much? Yes, a wine can be aged too much. What happens when you age wine is that over an amount of time, the wine is going to develop and it's going to go up, and it's going to hit a peak. And after the peak, it'll be at the peak, and then it'll slowly start to decline. So if you want to pursue and get into cellaring wine, you're going to want to look at potentially finding a wine you like and enjoy, because the best wine is the wine you enjoy drinking, and purchasing in lots of 4, 6, or I don't have 12 fingers, or 12 bottles as part of that and as part of that experience, because then you can put those wines away and see how they develop over time to be able to see how it is approaching that peak and understand if it's past its best drinking and it's gone past the peak. And how long you cellar a wine is really dependent on how long you've got, how patient you are, as well as how the wine is structured, which goes back to the balance. So when you know a wine kind of starts declining is once the technically, particularly red wine. So when we get into the Shiraz that we look at with the Lamington pairing, don't age passion pop. I saw that question pop up. If you're aging passion pop, you're wasting time, space, and money on it. It's not worth aging. You'd be better off finding a vintage bottle of champagne and putting that away and seeing that how that develops over time, and making that as an investment than going with a passion pop. But passion pop is not worth investing in or buying to age. It's one of those fruity wines that best drunk fresh and straight off the shelf, consumed very quickly. You're not going to benefit much from aging it at all. Would not recommend. But if you wanted to try it, you could go on your own adventure, buy a bottle of passion pop, put it down for 10 years and see how it went. I once took a passion pop to a New Year's Day party, and he was kind enough to save it for the next year. He put aluminium foil over the top of it, and it was there when I came back the year after as well. That bottle's still intact, and woof, it was an experience. And then I tipped it out on the glass. I tipped it out on the grass because that wine was done after a year. But going back to funny Flatfoot's question, how do you know when a wine is starting to decline? It's a great question. As part of that, and it's the tannin structure. Looking at that Shiraz, the tannin structure in the wine, there's only so many tannins that is going to break down. So after all the things that have happened in a wine, because a wine is a living, breathing thing, it's alive, it's developing over time, things are changing in the background because of the reactions. And I have been slowly building a collection of wine to cellar. So we can talk about that. So I got over 100 bottle collection of wine in my cellar. I've got wine in storage here where I live, out on a rack, but I also have a climate controlled storage under lock and key at the right temperature, the right humidity, that I rent out to make sure the wines are developing. I've bought a variety of bottles, some I found at auction, also looked at picking up some of my own. So the biggest purchase that I made in 2021 in terms of quantity of bottles, I tried picking up 18 of the Wynns Cabernet Sauvignon from 2019. I didn't check the labels of what I was buying, so I ended up buying 12 2019 vintages from the Siding Cabernet Sauvignon, and I bought 6 of the 2020 vintage. So I've got a dozen of those, seeing how they will develop. Another one that I picked up is a Lake Breeze Cabernet Sauvignon, hoping to age that one over a decade. I have an empty bottle behind me of that. So I've got one of these, the Lake Breeze Langhorne Creek Cabernet Sauvignon from 2018, that is aging somewhere. I can't actually remember if it's in the apartment or in the cellar at the moment, but that's one that's going to develop over time. I picked a dozen of these up for a deal on Qantas Wines with Qantas points, which was awesome, as part of that. So red wines are my preference for what I age, as part of that. So I tend to gravitate towards those, which is why I cellar them. If you want to go white wines, Semillon is a great one for aging. Chardonnay has some ageability into it, and then kind of some sweet dessert wines as well. I'm not sure if Marsanne and Riesling and Gruner Veltliner would probably be the other two that have a track record of being able to cellar well if it's quality wine. Otherwise, Shiraz, Cabernet Sauvignon, Nebbiolo are the 3 ones I probably gravitate towards. Pinot is one I'm still trying to figure out for a wine that will age, so seeing how that will go. I also missed Ian's question about how is the training going. The training is going good. I did a 7K run today. I'm prepping for the Sun Run 2022, a 10K run. We're hoping to do that with my brother Mitch. He's signed up for the run. It's just if we're in the same bracket to be able to run together. I'm hoping to finish that race in between 60 minutes to 72 minutes to see how my training's coming along, and it's the first competitive race that I've done in ages. So we'll see how that one goes. And then jumping over to the other Ian question of, speaking of investments, any new investments or investment plans for 2022? I'm probably investing my time more than my money. Got bills to pay, but I will be going out. I've got to. I want to figure out something with an NFT project. I'm looking at Solana and the Solana blockchain because of the low transaction fees. So I'm wondering if I build an NFT project on that. And one of my big out there ideas that I'm not sure how to execute would be just doing a super obscure project. We got the Bored Ape Yacht Club as a big NFT project, but how would it sound? Leave this in the comments. Let me know in the replies in the chat. Let me know what you think of this one. The interested, instead of bored, the interested ibis bin chicken club with like 1,000 different ibises with different hats, characteristics, jewelry, gold chains. I'm not sure, but you get your own ibis NFT for all the bin chicken lovers, an iconic Australian animal. Is my idea. Potentially building something like that out with an NFT collection and experimenting with NFTs would be the major investment that I make. And yes, does the 1900s differ in taste significantly more from recent produced wines? Unfortunately, I'm too young to actually have tasted a wine from the 1900s when it was made and fresh. But I have tasted aged wine from a Shiraz, I think a Tyrrell's Vat 9 Shiraz. I also had the fortune of tasting a 1996 Grange, which was quite nice. But winemaking techniques have improved. An example of that, I tasted some of the Kiss Shiraz. I've got that as another video. I actually tasted Thomas Wine's Kiss Shiraz, some from the 90s. And one of the things that they came out with was the Hunter Valley was still learning how to look after wine faults in Shiraz, and something called Brettanomyces. So imagine your wine going bad and smelling like a Band-Aid as a wine fault. So there were some older Shirazes that have something called Brettanomyces in them. A bit of Brett it can be abbreviated to where it smells like bandages. And yes, I am pumped to make and see what can happen with some Aussie NFTs, and see what that. I'm trying to find, and like, is there a community of people into Aussie NFTs? But yes, I'm loving that meme, man. The bin chicken as a potential. It does put Australia back on the map. Then you could, I don't know, if the ibis was successful, followed up with like an echidna, platypus, and kangaroo, and see if people get into that for the Australian animals, the Australian Animal Club, potentially. But without further ado, we should also look at the Lamington. So what wine would pair well with the Lamington? So this one is a Lamington Long John. The Lamingtons were sold out when I did a quick dash to the supermarket just before this. Like, even the gluten-free Lamingtons were sold out, is how much the Lamingtons were sold out. So that's, I'm not quite sure how to eat this as well. It's like a sweet hot dog. We'll see how we go. They have gone strong on the coconut there. Oof, that is intense. So, it's got some strawberry jam, it's got some cream. A classic British thing with scones is like strawberries and cream on their own, like a tennis dish for the English, I think it is. It's a classic pairing. So picking up a rosé that will go well with the jam on this, and the cream, as well as the coconutty. So something that goes with those flavors and also works alongside kind of chocolate, strawberry, coconut. So it works alongside the sweetness when I look at the rosé. And that Lamington is full on. Um, looking at that, like looking at it, the bite, the cream, it's intensely sweet. That definitely gets me thinking. So looking and thinking about rosé, and that hint of strawberry and kind of cherry works really nicely with the chocolate, the coconut, and the cream, and also the acid helps kind of cut through, and the texture, particularly of this rosé, helps cut through some of the kind of sweetness of that Lamington, which is really nice. So being able to enjoy McWigan non-alcoholic rosé for this, and even getting a real rosé with more body to it, would be really interesting. And rating out of that, not a huge fan of this. Like, I've had better Lamingtons, so like this Lamington might be a 5. Lamington with the pairing, I think elevates it to like a 7 out of 10. So 5 out of 10 for the Lamington, 7 out of 10 for the Lamington and the wine pairing. And to backtrack a little bit, like, I think I'd probably go Vegemite Toast is pretty solid, like 7, 8, 9. Like, I really do enjoy that. I think I probably enjoy the pairing. So this might be a 6 out of 10 pairing, above average with the rosé and the Vegemite. I'd probably go 8 out of 10 for the Semillon and the Vegemite going together as part of that, which is really interesting. So, and Vegemite just takes the edge off the sweetness. But the other thing that I was thinking about looking at the Lamington pairing was because of kind of the sweetness, the chocolatiness. I was thinking that a Shiraz would go well. So this one's particularly a Shiraz Viognier. I'm just going to get a little bit in the glass because I'm moving from kind of white wine to red wine. Give it a swirl. Give it a sniff. Spit. Rinses out the glass. Cleanses it so you don't kind of cross-contaminate the wine when you top it up to do the tasting as well. So bringing it in, looking at a Shiraz. This is technically a Shiraz Viognier from Talblick from Nangimbi Lakes from the 2018 vintage. The Viognier adds a little bit of apricot to it, but otherwise you get the kind of red berries, plum, I think bit of vanilla as well going on here. I really do enjoy the wines. Well, my stream must be popular this evening. I got 2 spammers dropping stuff in the chat. I do not recommend clicking the links. Ignore the spammers in the chat. But yep, this red wine is, I love red wine. Matured in old oak. The berry, plum, pepper Shiraz with floral and apricot tones. I think plum is one of the characteristics I go looking for and enjoy most in Shiraz as part of that. And I'm thinking the berry and the plum is going to go really nicely with the Lamington. That Lamington is intensely sweet. One of the sweeter Lamingtons I've had. Had a cheeky swallow. I really enjoy my Shiraz. You almost have here the plum and the berry flavors of the Shiraz coming through to go alongside and contrast the chocolate, the coconut, the cream, and the jam, and the pepperiness also going through there. And yes, the wood, and to go on a tangent there, would the wood wine is aged in affect the taste or complement it? It affects the taste massively. So, two prominent ways of aging wine. You can get, you've got multiple categories to split it up with. So, you can get French oak, you can get American oak, but within French oak and American oak, there's also new oak and old oak. New oak is more intense for a fuller bodied wine, bigger, bolder, more vanilla, more oomph to it. Whereas a older oak is more subtle, more nuanced, a little extra finesse in there. This particular bottle is with a small portion of new Missouri Ozark Mountain Oak. So I've never heard of Missouri Ozark Mountain Oak till I drank this wine, but apparently that is a thing, and this is what this wine was aged in, and that would have contributed to the flavor profile and the taste of the wine. And I think the cool climate is where the pepperiness would have come from, but the vanilla that you get and some of those other characteristics and potentially chocolate come from things like aging it in oak. And you can also, there's some other funky things you can do there with aging wine in like, I think clay eggs or things like that, which is really interesting. But for that Shiraz, definitely goes really nicely. I might go, I'm biased, I have to say. So thinking about the Lamington with the Shiraz and how those two went together with the Lamington and the Shiraz. With the Lamington and Shiraz, I think that'd be an 8 out of 10. I'm really biased towards the Shiraz though, as part of that. So big, the Shiraz really sways it for me with this particular pairing. And off on another tangent. I used to go for the Melbourne Storm once upon a time, and then even went to see them win a premiership. I think that premiership was stripped. So after the salary cap scandal with the Melbourne Storm, I kind of stopped following the NRL. I don't really watch it much. I might watch a State of Origin here and there, but not into NRL much anymore at all. But I do, if I do look up results, I do tend to look up how the Storm and the Sharks have been going, keeping tabs on them to see what's going on with them each season, seeing how they're progressing, where they're at. Will they make that top 8? And I might tune in for the finals if I'm really curious, or watching it with mates. And yeah, NFTs. I'm also like dropping like NFTs. I'd want to drop NFTs for less than 100 Australian dollars. Make them accessible, not something that's exorbitant. Make it affordable for the people. An NFT for the people, by the people. Something that is accessible and not extraordinary in terms of selling for millions or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. And yep, kangaroo and koala, good ideas on the cards. I think I was able to rate some of these pairings 0 to 10 for you as well, Meme Man. So hope you enjoyed that. along the way. And last but not least, the Tim Tams. So I kind of staged this progression because I'm going to finish on something nice and sweet, a tawny. This is 20% alcohol. Volume, the Shiraz is closer to 13.5%. Checking that I've got correct information, no false news. 14% there as part of that. And I've progressed these wine. I did the pairing in this order to move from savory to sweet as well. And then I have also gone with the thing to move from kind of a white wine to rosé to red wine to sweet wine as this arc of the tasting to make sure those things go together. So, and going off topic for a little bit more before we jump into the Tim Tams. Off topic, mate, but any new coffee additions or new beans you've discovered? The most recent one I have been trying, I think, is something from Stitch Coffee. Honduras is, I think, where the beans are from. Enjoying those for my morning brew, long black or pour over in an AeroPress is my go-to method for making coffee. Have been enjoying those. I enjoy kind of freshly ground coffee because of the kind of notes you get, the floral notes particularly. So even though coffee is bitter, there is more sweetness to it when I brew it that way. And funny, Flathook Sharks are going to go crazy this year now that we have Nico Hines on our team. And I'm not up to date with the news. I'm going to have to Google who Nico Hines is. When would you consider streaming any games again? I have to think about that a little bit more. And by think about that, I need to save up the money to be able to afford to do that. And I also have actually diversified. So if you want to see when I actually stream, I've tried to be more disciplined about what wine videos for my YouTube channel and have that focused there. And then make sure that I have that niche clearly defined for wine videos compared to gaming, as much as I do love gaming. I can't actually find myself on Twitch, which is mildly / off-putting. I don't have a stream schedule, but I do have any videos. I think my Twitch is in my about page. I'll drop that in. But yes, Rocket League is what I've been streaming. I am also on Twitch. So on Twitch, as part of that, I go on Twitch occasionally under JFol as part of that. So Halo Infinite is one I've been playing a little bit of recently. My graphics card struggles to keep up with streaming Halo Infinite and recording it. So I use Halo Infinite as my benchmark. And yes, me, man, I have Twitch. And I've streamed a little bit on Twitch. I tend to go kind of Rocket League and Halo Infinite at the moment. I've played a lot less Fortnite recently. Rocket League is my go-to. I was trying to play tournament with a friend to win that. We got so close as part of that so many times. And I have... Is Roger Federer really joining the Sharks? I think that's a bit far-fetched. He's a tennis player, not a rugby league player. So without further ado, what wine would I pair with Tim Tams? What wine would pair with a Tim Tam? And I've got to be careful because the chocolate melts in between my fingers. So, going for a Tim Tam. This is a double coat chocolate, by the way. Go for 2 bites just to be sure. Picking a Shiraz or red wine because I think the red wine will go nicely. The berries, the vanilla will go nicely with the chocolate. That is solid wine and chocolate pairings. They go so nicely together. I think that's a solid 8 or 9. Chocolate and Tim Tam. What for the scientific method? Let's go back another Tim Tam. Tim Tam slam the wine. That's going to be hard to do. I don't think I can actually. There's a will. There's a way. I'm going to say 1 Tim Tam for the 20 that I was thinking of. See if I can do it. For the plum, vanilla, and berry go really nicely with the intense, rich, vibrant chocolate and coming together. And is it possible to Tim Tam slam with wine? So, this could go oh so badly. Currently, no, I can't actually get it inside the glass to answer that question. I tried, not the right glass shape. I'd need to put like the wine in a coffee cup to be able to do it. But yeah, pairing a Shiraz with a Tim Tam is a solid 8 or 9. Pairing that Shiraz with the Tim Tam is a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. Big fan of that one as well. So, on to the next one. To taste this, gonna go for the 20. So pour a little bit, rinse out the glass. 20 is quite strong and intense as it is. So, bring it together. Morning, sweet, chocolatey, fruit cake. It's luscious, rich, it's deep. It goes beautifully with that Tim Tam. Let's get a top up on there as well. I think the 20 could be a 9 or a 10 for a wine pairing. Yep. Chocolate, rich, deep, intense, double coated chocolate Tim Tam. See how it goes with the 20. So looking at the Lane Mile Liquor 20, 25-year-old as part of this. So good and intense. Like there's so much going on there as part of that. It's got that depth to it that really goes beautifully with the Tim Tam. That is a 9 or a 10. I'm going back for more. It's beautiful. That is a solid pairing. Like that's a pairing to celebrate. Like, I get the confetti out, celebrate with that one. That's delightful. The chocolate. The richness of the tawny goes alongside the richness of the Tim Tam in a beautiful, beautiful way. That's a 9 or a 10. And one of the favorite things about tasting wine and tasting anything is seeing how the wine is able to enhance, change the tasting experience of the food that you're eating. Like, it's a beautiful experience that helps give an extra dimension to it. Imagine going from like 2D chess to 3D chess, adding an extra dimension to the complexity and the taste of the food that you're eating. And Ian, you're right. That wine just looks too good. It is delicious. Makes me want to throw in like, whew, yeah, that's how good it is. Makes me go, wow, that tawny and chocolate Tim Tam pairing makes me go, wow, 9 or a 10. I think I'd go kind of Tim Tam, tawny, then Tim Tam Shiraz, followed by Vegemite, Sauvignon would be my top three. I enjoy savory. It's just like a beautiful thing to come back to after all that sweet. Really takes the edge off. Mm, beautiful, beautiful thing. But thank you for tuning in again to the live stream. Let me know in the chat or the comments what other foods should I do a wine tasting with, or let me know what other foods I should do a wine pairing for. Let me know in the chat, or let me know in the comments below. Let me know in the comments below what food and wine pairings I should do in another video or live stream as part of that. Looked at 3 iconic Australian foods here tonight. Are there any other iconic Australian foods that I could do with this? Is there one that is your favourite Australian food that you eat that I've missed? Let me know. Hit me up in the chat. Hit me up in the comments below, and I might be able to do that in a future live stream or a future video as part of this. Otherwise, I'm going to be trying to do these live streams till the cows come home, till they go moo. I want to keep up the schedule. 9 p.m. Wednesday night is what I'm going to be committing to, aiming for, and scheduling these in for different topics, and also doing a live question and answers session along the way, doing a live Q&A, answering the questions in chat as part of this, as well as going through the topic for that evening as part of it. And time has just flown by, and I'm going to keep these streams coming. And that is a great suggestion. Time has flown by. Keep these streams coming. Let's see the best steak wine. Yes, Shiraz and Cabernet Sauvignon are beautiful, and that could tempt me. That could tempt me to pull an old bottle of wine out of the cellar for a live stream as well to see how that pairs well. We'll pick up a Cabernet Sauvignon that I talked about, potentially the Lake Breeze 2018, or something like that, to see how those flavors come together as part of this. Otherwise, thank you for being here this evening. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time on the live stream. Thank you for the questions. Keep them coming. It's been great going on. And let's as part of that. And hopefully I had the sound balance right on those little snippets so that they weren't too overpowering. I've got a few going on there as part of that I tend to use probably more when I stream on Twitch and do things. So being able to hit up a Rocket League and score a goal, be able to throw like a let's go down as part of that. Throwing a let's go. Rocket League is one of my go-to overlays and emotions as part of that. Otherwise, remember, the best wine is the wine that you enjoy drinking, and I'll see you in the next video or live stream, and enjoy the jazz music.